Good morning, I'm Maiki Oreta, and you're watching Basis Points, where we dive deep into the numbers and the stories that drive our economy and shape our world. We begin in Wall Street, where the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at a record high. The Dow inched up by close to 0.2% to 41,241, while the S&P 500 shed 0.3%. The tech-heavy Nasdaq gave up 0.9%. In focus this week is the upcoming earnings report of artificial intelligence heavyweight Nvidia. Investors fear that less than stellar data from Nvidia may shatter a recent rally in AI-related stocks.
Yeah, Nvidia is up, thousands of percent over the past 3 or 4 years now. The biggest run-up that we've ever seen really in history for an individual stock, especially in terms of market cap. So you're seeing this gigantic market cap. And, I think the delta on options is up or down 9% on Wednesday with what's going to happen post-market Nvidia's earnings. So, yeah, I think folks are taking chips off the table.
Still in the U.S. crude futures are up by 3% for their best day in 2 weeks as Libya shuts down production and tensions rise in the Middle East. The West Texas Intermediate added 3.46%, while Brent oil prices rose by 3%. One of Libya's political government says that the North African nation is halting both oil production and exports amid a dispute over who leads the country's central bank. Oil prices have been trending higher on fears that escalating conflict in the Middle East will disrupt oil supplies. This as Israel and Hezbollah traded airstrikes last Sunday. The Middle East has been on edge for weeks in the wake of the assassinations of the Hezbollah commander in Lebanon and a Hamas leader in Iran. Another country is tightening its policies on electrical vehicles from China. Starting October 1st, Canada will impose a 100% tariff on imports of EVs shipped from China, including those made by U.S. automaker Tesla. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says that the move aims to counter China's alleged intentional and state-directed policy of overcapacity. The Chinese embassy warns, however, that this policy will undermine the economic and trade cooperation between the two nations and harm the interests of Canadian consumers. Back in May, U.S. President Joe Biden announced a similar tariff rate to also shield itself from China's supposed excess production. Meanwhile, in the European Union, they've softened their stance on Tesla earlier this month, setting a reduced tariff rate of 9%. That's much lower than the bloc's previous proposal for a rate of 20%. Elsewhere in the world, in the Netherlands, ride-hailing platform Uber is fined 290 million euros or $324 million by the country's data protection watchdog. That's for sending the personal data of European drivers to the United States, allegedly without adequate safeguards. The Data Protection Authority, or DPA, says that the data transfer, which spanned more than 2 years, amounts to a serious breach of the rules of the European Union. Uber, however, is calling that decision flawed and completely unjustified. The ride-hailing firm adds that they moved in compliance with the U.S.'s General Data Protection Regulation during a 3-year period of immense uncertainty between the regional bloc and the United States. As such, Uber will appeal the DPA's ruling. They say that they are confident that common sense will prevail. Let's check on the business headlines in the major news websites. On Inquirer, the Employers Confederation of the Philippines is calling on the government to gradually phase out Philippine offshore gaming operators instead of imposing an abrupt ban. The group says that this will help cushion the impact of the exit, especially on employment. During his State of the Nation address, President Bongbong Marcos said that he wants all POGOs out by the end of the year. On Business World, the Securities and Exchange Commission says that the proposed hike in its fees will push through after clearing the assessment of the Anti-Red Tape Authority. Under the proposal, the fees will increase to 0.25% of an entity's authorized capital stock. And on CNBC, 2 Amazon aggregators, Branded and Heyday, plan to merge as the e-commerce industry continues to consolidate. Both firms will reportedly form a new entity called Essor, which translates to take flight in French. We're taking a quick break. Please stay with us as we dive into the numbers and the narratives that matter most to your bottom line. Welcome back. The Philippine Stock Exchange resumes trading today after a long holiday weekend. Let's look at the initial figures. Right now at 9:38 this morning, the PSE index is up by 0.3% to 69.83. All shares index up as well, up by 0.4%. I'm looking at the financials, industrial, holding firms, mining and oil counters, and the property counters. They're all in the green. The gains in the PSCI index are driven by gains in the property sector, while the others are up marginally. The property sector is up by 1.5%. Meanwhile, bucking that uptrend is the services sector, not by much, down by just 0.3%. Now, for our guests today, we're shining the spotlight on one of the best homegrown brands in the country, Mega Prime Foods. Joining us now is William Tu Lim, the company's founder and chairman, a true visionary and a captain of the canned food industry. Good morning, William. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for the invite.
Okay, William, you didn't just build a business, you built a household name and a cultural icon, and you made sardines in tomato sauce, a Filipino staple. How did this business come to be?
Well, we are originally a fishing company. And by fishing, selling raw mat to the canners, we came to know that it would not be sustainable because of pricing difference. And that's why we discussed so that how can we sustain from just fishing, going to brand building and so on and so forth for us, for a longer generations to come so that they could be benefited.
I like the long-term view you had. William, why sardines? Out of all the fish in the sea, why sardines?
Well, in our fishing, we are catching mostly sardines. And that's why we're supplying to the local canners for them to process into canned sardines. And along the way, rather than doing fresh fish for their buying, they opted to go on second and third class, wherein what's left of the market, fresh fish market, they are just buying because it's cheaper. But in cheaper, there's a problem. It might not be the freshest sardines to be put on can. So that's wherein we are looking at how do we take advantage of this, if we were to compete with them.
Yeah, when you're talking about fish, fresh is always best. I know that you guys started within 7 hours, the process begins. And within 12 hours, from catch to canning.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about what it took to get that speed and that level of efficiency across your operations?
Well, on that time frame, because we are using new technology, new preservation method, and it's all in bulk, not in banera, not in icing. So you are preserving fish in bulk, wherein it's zero temperature, but we are using brine seawater. So that makes a lot of difference in terms of putting on one banera and putting on one tank, all the quality would be the same. So that technology is coming from the US, and of course, we have to do the research so that we could be differentiating ourselves with the other fishing company.
Speaking of differentiating yourselves from the other fishing companies, you've pioneered a lot of things, one of which in the country was the easy-to-open pull tab. Okay? That little thing, that little innovation is as relevant today as it was decades ago. Can you talk to us about how this came to be?
Okay. We usually go to foreign supermarket when we are in other countries. And we are wondering why they are in easy open and the Philippines having that big volume in sardines are not easy open. And we discussed with local canners, why don't you give easy open to the other brand? We would like to buy, but you have to give us the pricing. Unfortunately, they do not encourage us to do the easy open because it's more expensive. And another thing is, if it's easy open, then you have to add the value added and so on and so forth. The others being number one, number two, number three, why should they give more if the customer is buying their products? So being a newcomer, we have to do something different again.
Right.
So by introducing the easy open to the consumer, so that at least when they choose easy open and non-easy open, there's a difference. And we are giving the easy open to the consumer in the Philippines because the other countries are doing that for their consumers already.
Tito, William, how did you start this canned sardines business? I mean, how did you spot the potential for this fish?
Well, potential is we would like to be sustainable. We would like to have the branding so that at least second, third, fourth generations, they would be benefiting from the branding. But of course, branding is not just branding. The branding has to be consistent in quality or the best in quality that you put on can so that at least the consumer would patronize your product. And we are building a brand not just for sardines, but of course for other products that is to be coming in.
That's right. Going back to the canned sardines segment, how do changes in the economic environment affect the demand for your core product, your canned sardines? I know during the COVID-19 pandemic, while other businesses, experienced downturns, you guys hit a peak. Can you talk to us about the demand for your product, regardless of the economic conditions?
Okay. Sardines is a can wherein you have 5, 6 pieces inside. If you are a family, maybe 4 or 5, each one would have their own fish, plus the sauce that is by itself a meal in itself already, and it is very protein related. So at least when they open the can and it's easy open, a family could share, and that's what we are saying to the public. Sardines with fish inside, maybe about 25, but tomato sauce in can, about 30 pesos without fish. So we are giving more benefit to the consumer, to the Filipino people.
Affordability and nutrition.
Yes.
Yeah, and during the pandemic, a lot of LGUs were buying from you as well, right, William?
Yes. In fact, we have to work double times to catch up with the demand. And during that time, COVID, it's problem of getting laborer. So we got the permission of having a bus to pick up our laborers so that they could work on the plant for continuous productions.
That was the challenge, how to meet the demands, the surge in the demand during a period of lockdown. So
Yes.
apart from the buses for your people, what else did you do to meet that peak demand for your product during that crazy time?
Yeah. Actually, for us, like fishing, we have to do continuous fishing, and they don't come back to shore. Usually, they stay there for about 9 months, and they continue fish. Some of them would be going back, but we have replacement. The only good thing is that they are there continuously doing the fishing. Because if we don't have any fish, then we don't have any canning, and we would not be providing the consumer, Filipino consumer, the product that they need. So it's good that all the fishermen are staying up in the fishing ground so that at least continuously, day in, day out. By the way, we fish only at night. So they fish at night and rest by day.
Is the supply consistent, William? Since you started in 2000, this canning business, I mean, everybody's worried about global warming and its effects on the migratory patterns of fish. How does global warming, how has that been affecting the supply of sardines for Mega?
Global warming coming in, it disrupts the weather pattern. We have a pattern of 2 years good, 1 year bad, 2 years good, 1 year bad, but it disrupted that also. But what we're doing is, our new CEO, she devised data mining, so that collection of all the data that we have for the past 10 years, and see how we could project where to fish. So that would be done economically in the sense that we don't spend too much fuel. And if we spend too much fuel, then the price of fish will be going up. So if we maintain the use of the diesel, so at least we will be able to maintain the pricing. What we are doing is, we do not like to increase so much on pricing because we would like to help the consumer. But the only problem is fuel price keep on going up.
Yeah.
And the model for the other countries is you need to level up, you need to scale up. When scale up is, Like our Easy Open, before we used to order 500,000 pieces per month. But with the volume that we put in, order 20 million, from 500 to 20 million, the price difference went down by 30%.
Yeah.
So that's how you level the playing field, by ordering
With
more,
scale.
because you have the scale, and you could keep the price at a minimum.
Yeah, and this is something that's very important to Filipinos, is the ability to eat good things at an affordable price. So this is why, on the back of robust growth in 2020, even following the heels of the pandemic, Mega Sardines was recognized by top international consumer firm Kantar, Kantar World, as the #1 sardine brand in the Philippines. How are you able to leverage on this accolade, William?
Being the #1 sardines, okay. We go first to how to become #1. A lot of effort would be put into place, and with the Easy Open, it brought us to the #1 positions, because the consumer is Easy Open and non-Easy One. The price difference may be 25 cents. So that's the sardines took off and steadily going to #1 positions. While people are congratulating, no, congratulations, you're #1. But I told them, no, this is just a start. When you're #1, you have to do more. You cannot just relax and do nothing. Our point is always how to innovate, how to go about being the lead pack of what you're doing, so that the others would be following. In fact, for us, bringing a very precise quality control, it leveled the industries. Because our quality is very high, and the others,
the standards across the board.
They have to raise their standard also.
Yeah, that's why competition is also good.
Yes.
You're in a pole position, and you're always looking to grow. I love that, William.
Okay.
Moving forward, we've got your IPO coming. Everybody is excited about that. In 2022, you announced plans for an IPO on your 5th year. That's up next year. How are plans for that IPO coming along?
Okay. For my point, I stepped down already since last year and gave that CEO and president positions to my daughter, Michelle. And on the family board, on the board meetings, which we have 4 independent directors, how do we go IPO? For me, my point is, I just want to see transparency in our transactions. Okay, but you want to be IPO, that's a requirement to be transparent. For us, being a family corporation, okay, let's be open, so that at least if we want to be IPO, we are ready by maybe 3 to 5 years from now. So, but let's work on it. No, we just cannot say that you want to IPO tomorrow. No, it has to.
It's a great
have
exercise
a
in itself, and it starts early on. I like that you're
Yes.
strengthening your foundation,
Yes.
and you're strengthening the core. But what's interesting is that it's a business that so many people can relate to. And when they buy it for themselves, they help if they have shares in the company. So it's very exciting.
Yes.
I know the people in the studio are all excited about this too. All right, so William, another thing. What's a good recipe for Mega Sardines?
Well, the tomato sauce is, as I said, it's a meal by itself. But somebody mentioned Spanish sardines, which is, it's in soy oil. And it's about 4 to 5 pieces. Somebody told me that once they get a fish, they throw out the oil. I said, do not throw the oil, because that's all the fragrance is there. Just put rice and fry it and mix it, and that become a fried rice wherein Spanish flavored.
What's your favorite way to eat Mega Sardines?
Or straight, open from the can, pour it out, that's it. And it's always ready.
Yeah, the simplicity of it all makes it such a key selling proposition. Okay, William, what advice can you give to the people watching that are entrepreneurs, or that would like to become entrepreneurs, that would like to build a business, spot the potential, just as you did all those decades ago? Some advice for them on how to go about it.
Okay. I've been asked a lot of times on this. How do we as entrepreneur go like what we're doing. I said, you just have to stay focused, because if you are having so many plans, you cannot focus. For us, in 10 years, we really focus on our fishing, so that at least when we reach 10 years, we are very stable. But during the first 5 years, it's really very difficult. But if we stop on the 5th year, we will not be here in these positions. So stay focused, and of course, you have to save. Do not spend so much wherein you're depleting your capital. You keep on rolling it over, so that at least the point is it increases your assets, so that when the revenue would be coming, it would be more. So that is the point wherein I do not like to see whether they have a business and by tomorrow they have a new car, new house, and so on and so forth. It depletes the capital that you have to be investing in your business.
All right, on that note, William, thank you so much for being our guest today. You are a great catch today, William Chu, the founder and chairman of Mega Prime Foods.
Thank you.
Now, before we go, some exciting news for Apple fans as the tech giant finally announces the date for its next major product launch, September 9th in California. The event will be called It's Glow Time, and in it, Apple is widely expected to unveil its new iPhone 16 series as well as new models of the Apple Watch. Also in focus, more details on its new software version, iOS 18, which will include a collection of artificial intelligence features called Apple Intelligence. In another milestone for the tech giant, 10 years after taking over the role of Chief Financial Officer, Luca Maestri will step down from his post. He will, however, continue to lead teams focusing on IT, security, and real estate development. Taking over as CFO is Apple's Vice President of Financial Planning and Analysis, Kevin Pakre. Apple says that the shift is part of its planned succession initiatives. And that's it for Basis Points. I'm Maiki Oreta. Stay tuned tomorrow for more news on the financial markets and more. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo news channel, always on top.